Tonight, we get at it with the Black Brain Drive.
Open your mind.
The Prophet of Thought. The Prophet of Thought. You know. The Prophet of Thought. The Prophet of Thought. Open your mind.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought series right here on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you are here. Boy, I got a good one for y'all tonight, boy. I've been trying to get these brothers up here for a minute, and I finally was able to do it. Tonight, we're going to be rocking out on the old Wednesday night with the one and only Black Brain Trust is going to be in the house tonight, y'all. So this is going to be good because I've been waiting for this for a minute, man. I've been waiting for this for a minute, and it's crazy how this all came about because I just kind of put it together the other day, and I got in contact with some people behind the scenes that I'm aligned with, and I was able to get them to come on short notice. So I appreciate that. Any of you brothers out there from the Black Brain Trust, I sent the link to brother Mike V. Mike V, if you out there, check your email, brother. And I guess you can go ahead and share the link with the other brothers, who's ever available. Yeah. So this is going to be a good one tonight, man. I'm actually looking forward to this one right here. I am. But first, before we get started, as always, I got to thank my supporters, my subscribers, my donors. I mean, because y'all really look out for this channel, man. It's like every week I'm saying this because it utterly amazes me how you folks support this channel, man. Y'all have made this channel grow. Y'all have made this channel kind of turn a corner. I mean, And some of you out there, man, y'all have been supporting me. You know, y'all supported me when I had 100 subscribers. I mean, we at like 2,000 now, but y'all supported me when I only had 100 subscribers, man. And you know, the way y'all donate, y'all like these videos, man. Y'all share these videos, man. Y'all comment, and y'all show up every week for these damn live streams, man. And it's appreciated, man. You know, and you drop coins on this platform as well. I mean, you, like I always say, you don't have to do that. You know, you don't have to spend your hard-earned coins on this platform, but you choose to do so, man. And like I always say, man, I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm appreciative, man, and I thank you because I consider all of you to be my supporters, whether you drop coins on this platform or not. But I mean, y'all continue to support this platform, man. So I'm going to continue to try to crank them out for y'all, man, as long as I can. I didn't think I was going to end up doing a show tonight because I got a lot going on right now, you know, outside of YouTube and media. You know, my life is taking some drastic changes and turns. You know, we got some things going on. You know, me and Wifey, you know, we trying to make some big moves. And fortunately, I was able to come on tonight, and I'm glad, because the only way I was going to do a show tonight is if I got the Black Brain Trust on. If I didn't get them on, I wasn't going to do a show tonight, but I managed to be able to get them on. So here we are. But I mean, once again, man, I just want to thank y'all, man. I want to thank the folks. All right. All right. Anyway, let's get at it. I don't know. The brothers should be filing in pretty soon because I did send the link. Let's see what's going on. If any of the brothers is in the chat room, please let me know. I see that they here. I don't know, because y'all gotta have brother Mike B. Check your email, brother. You new. I don't know what's happening here, but yeah. We I guess I'll chop it up and talk shit while we wait for the brain trust to come in. I mean, I've been watching a lot of them, and somebody put me on to the Black Brain Trust because I just found out about them, like, I don't know, I guess like a few months ago. And you know, I'll be watching their shit. You know, I watch their shit. What's good? Keep it techie. I see you up there, man. You know, I've been watching their stuff, man, and you know, the stuff that they talk about, man, isn't the rank and file, just like brother Keep It Techie up there. You know, it's not the, you know, it's not the rank and file stuff, because y'all know the stuff that we talk about, you know, and I say us because my ass do it too. You know, we pretty much talk about the rank and file stuff, you know, the problems inside Black society, our disagreements with Black society, our complaints about Black society, our comparing and contrasting Black society to other societies. You know, y'all know where I'm going here. But it's not like that with the Black Brain Trust, man. The Black Brain Trust actually drops these nuggets, man, that are like, you know, and I'm always telling you to open your mind. My mind always gets open when I watch these brothers. And yeah, I'm subscribed. So you need to get on down there and subscribe to. Look down there in the subscription box. And if you wanna get down with the get down and learn something, you need to go ahead and subscribe to the Black Brain Trust. I see that brother Mike V is in the house. Peace, brother Mike V. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's good with you, brother?
I'm chilling, brother. Chilling, man. Just got finished doing the geopolitics live stream over the Black Brain Trust.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I try to catch y'all. Every night when I can. You know, sometimes I get in late, you know, working and stuff like that, and I don't get to catch y'all, but I always check out the replays and stuff, man. You know, I try to holler at y'all whenever I'm in the chat room. So, you know, but I appreciate you coming on, man. Short notice, brother. I do.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely appreciate it myself.
What's good, Lady Naima? I see you up there. Good looking on that super chat, Lady Naima. Well, let's get right into it, because I've had a few brothers from the Black Brain Trust come on. I've had Dollar Will has been on a while ago. Lionel Gant was on as well. And Dr. Phoenix. Dr. Phoenix, part of the Black Brain Trust too. He was on as well. But not in the Black Brain Trust capacity, I should say. You know, they just kind of came on, you know, along with a few of the usual suspects that are usually here every week. So let me ask you about the Black Brain Trust, man. Let's get right into it. What made you want to start that particular platform to talk about that particular material?
So wasn't me initially, it was actually Lionel. So Lionel, myself, Complex Design, Anti-Gravity, and a couple of the members were kind of tired of what was going on in the manosphere, and we wanted to have some more intellectual dialogue and discourse. And so we decided to kind of start our home platform probably about late 2017, early 2018. And this is probably around January, February 2018. And we did not initially have the Black Brain Trust name. So the name actually came from Young Grizzly. Young Grizzly, which is one of the founding members, came up with the name. And then we ran with that. And we already had an idea of what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to focus on space and technology. Those are things that, we need to be paying attention to, and things that industries we need to get into. Geopolitics, because that's, traverse many different backgrounds and peoples. And coincidentally enough, geopolitics is our most popular hangout or live stream that we have on the channel. So many different people who are not even Black love our content. We got college professors and doctors who actually subscribe to our content just based off of geopolitics. And then we came up with economics because we wanted to talk about money. Dollar Will is a subject matter expert in trading, so he's pretty sufficient in that area. So we were kind of strong in each of these topics we wanted to focus on and subjects, and that's how that came about. So we went from just it being Technology Mondays to Space and Technology Mondays. I actually went to a Museum of Science and went to a NASA event for the new telescope that's being put out there. I think it's called the James Webb. And I was in the in the event and looked at the credits, and there were a lot of Black people, ADOS people, who actually contributed to this new highly high performing telescope. But you would never know that unless they told you, unless you did your own research. So I said we gotta be more focused on this sort of subject of space exploration, because that's going to be the frontier. So that's how that all came about. And then over the course of time, Information Man had us on his show, and he did a logo for us without us even asking. So he contributed to it, and that's how we got the logo, and that's how we all came about.
So let me ask you this, Brother Mike V. Why is it that, well, let me ask you your opinion. Why do you think there's not more platforms like yours, like, in the model of the Black Brain Trust when it comes to, quote unquote, Black YouTube? Why isn't it more Black Brain Trust out there, in your opinion?
I think it's a myriad of issues, but one of the main ones is that we don't read. So when we do the articles during the live stream, we read it because we know that most Black people don't read, so we have to read it for them, which is unfortunate. But that's just the nature of the culture. There's no emphasis behind literacy. A lot of Black men can't read. Most Black men today are reading at a third grade level, and it's unfortunate that that's the case. We live in a community where Black women have the highest college enrollment rates, where Black males have some of the lowest literacy rates. So there's an imbalance in within the culture itself, and which causes a lot more cascading issues, such as not being able to engage in sort of platforms that we're putting out there.
So do you believe that if we had, more, quote unquote, Black Brain Trusts like material on media? Would media take a different direction? I mean, because you see the stuff that's out there, man. You see the stuff that, you know, that goes on. I'm pretty sure you're well aware of, you know, all the craziness that goes on, especially in this YouTube space. Would it be better if we had more, you know, because my man Keep It Techie is in here. You know, I watch his stuff too. And you would think that you guys kind of platforms would draw way more interest than it does. Do you, well, is that part of the problem? Or are we just not interested in platforms like yours?
It's not sexy, and that's part of the problem. It's not sexy at all. It's boring to a lot of people. They don't get the instant gratification that they're looking for. And it's really about the long game. So, you know, when you do this content, you're doing it for the long term. And Black people look for the short term on just about any and everything. So their consumption of this is very short duration of consumption for themselves. So it would actually benefit us to have more platforms like this. If we look at the movie Black Panther and we look at how it empowered Black people just to see other Black people on the screen in a positive manner, we know that this is possible. But how do you take what the Black Brain Trust does and put it, you know, in a cinematic way? That's the question for us. How do we engage Black people where they are and bring them to where we are over the course of time? I think what the Black Panther did was it showed Black men in a light that they had that the world had never really seen before. The same thing that happened in 2008 with Obama, the election of Barack Obama did the same exact thing. So we know that there's an audience for it, but we don't really know how to reach those people and engage them. And what we've done with the platform, we have made various changes due to some of the feedback, and this is where we are right now. So I think we've jumped subscribers, right? We initially thought that we were only going to have 250 subscribers because the content was so dry and not really entertaining. We didn't anticipate being where we are right now. Dollar Will had a bet that we would get to 500 at a certain date, and we did. And from 500, we went to 1,000. And then from 1,000, we are where we are right now. So I think as we curate the content more and make it more engaging, people are finding that, you know, this is something of their interest as well.
So have you brothers had to kind of have you kind of have to reshape it, you know, like you said? Have you taken some elements out of it and maybe add some elements to it to draw people to it? Or has it kind of grown, you know, kind of organically as more and more people start to get interested in what you brothers are teaching over there?
It's a combination of the two. People, I think what happens in Black YouTube is that people overdose on a lot of the effery. And so in order to, you know, get off of the effery kick, they end up wandering onto our platform because YouTube, the algorithm now has been recommending the Black Brain Trust to other Black people within the manosphere and beyond. And so because of that, we've been able to have a broader reach.
So do you brothers consider yourselves part of the sphere? Do you consider yourselves part of the sphere, or do you consider yourself kind of outside of it?
That's an interesting question because we had that question a couple months ago, and we kind of addressed that. I think personally that we are the manosphere, and we also straddle going beyond it. So we do, because we have a European audience as well for our geopolitics. So now we have non-Black people who actually like our content, people from Afghanistan, people from Russia, people from Poland and Germany who like our content and email me behind the scenes and say, hey, I listened to that live stream, you guys are bang on the money. And these are non-Black people saying this type of stuff. So we know that some of our content, even though it's geared towards melanated people, there are non-melanated people who are saying, yo, I rock with this. Because they had never seen or heard Black men operating in an intellectual capacity. What they're used to consuming is, the hip hop elements, or what's considered to be hip hop today, being presented to them, and because of that, it has polluted, our image.
So you said earlier that the material isn't sexy enough. So can, because I know you brothers talk, geopolitics and a lot of STEM and sciences and things of that nature. Can that stuff be made to be sexy? Can it be sexy to learn about STEM and politics and social constructs and things of that nature?
Yes, it can, and we have done a lot of that. We have integrated Pan-Africanism and ADOS into our geopolitics, and matter of fact, across all of our different subjects and live streams. And when we take what happens in Hong Kong, for example, and we tie that in with ADOS, now it becomes a different conversation, rather than to just talk about what happened in Hong Kong, right? So, and then we look at some of the technological endeavors of China. China is probably, the most technologically advanced country right now in 2019 on the planet. Now, how does that affect ADOS? Well, China will be, at some point within our lifetime, probably within the next 5-6 years, they will be the global power. The United States will now no longer be the global power. So where are all your opportunities going to go? It's going to go east. Now, you tie that in with Africa, and a lot of the relationship that Africa has with China, you start to see that Africa has moved east too. So what is ADOS going to do? What are American descendants of slaves going to do in regard to global, the global tectonic shift? If you are ADOS right now, if you are a Black American, you have to be paying attention to where the opportunities are going to go, because as it stands right now, America is collapsing overnight. It's in a death spiral right now. We see many factories. GM this morning, I think they just laid off 6,000 workers, union workers. The 8 of the 10 industries right now that Black people work, especially Black women, will be replaced with automation by 2022.
Do you believe that we as Black folks, are we too focused on the right here, the hood and all that kind of nonsense? Shouldn't we should be expanding our worldview as opposed to, just what's going on in our block, in our hood, in our city, whatever the case may be. Does the lack of knowledge of these, global things, if you will, has that hurt us as a people?
Absolutely. It's completely crippled your worldview on what's coming down the pike. Because if you don't have, we're in the 4th industrialized revolution right now. It's taking place right now. What's happening right now is that there's a specific skill sets that are going to be needed in order to partake in this industrialization. Black people, because they have not had this worldview, they've had this sort of myopic view of local and national society. They're not understanding how this is going to impact not just them but their kids, because they're born and the recently born and unborn are going to be impacted greatly by this, because as other groups start to advance, they're going to be more selfish too, and they're not going to want to share with Black Americans, which is going to squeeze them into a permanent underclass going forward. Dr. Claude Anderson on YouTube with Dr. Boyce Watkins has talked about 2053 being that deadline for African Americans to get it together. We've been saying 2045, 2050 on the Black Brain Trust, but after the recent articles and events that has transpired just this year alone, especially the last few weeks, I don't think that I don't think ADOS is going to make it past 2035.
Wow, that's kind of doom and gloom there, brother. Mike B. Is it really that bad? Have we underestimated as Black people how bad it really is? Have we just kind of glossed over it and said, it's not that bad? Have we underestimated how our lack of grasp on these type of things, especially, geopolitics and things of that nature? Have we underestimated how bad it is for us?
We have underestimated it. We have a literacy issue with Black males. We're probably last in terms of just general literacy, especially reading comprehension and mathematics. This is a big issue because other groups are running circles around us, around our kids. We see a lot of the Asians going to these Ivy League schools. China is pumping out 1 million STEM graduates per year. The United States is only pumping out just a little over 100,000. And Black people only make up 1 to 3% of the graduates in STEM. This is a big problem.
Yeah, man. I mean, just last night, right? And I talked about this before. I went to my wife's practice because my wife's a medical esthetician. That's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over to her practice, to go mess with her and bug the shit out of her. Mm-hmm. And right next to her office is a learning center, where they, I guess, they give kids extra help and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all I saw in there, I mean, all I saw was Asians. That's it. I mean, and this center here, they actually teach people for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see any Black children. I never do, because it's right next to my wife's office. And when I go there, I never see any Black children coming in or out of there. I never see any Black parents coming in and out of there. They're always white or Asian. And I'm up there at least, I'm not up there every day, but I'm up there 2-3 times out the week, messing with my wife and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to walk past it to get to, her office.
Mm-hmm.
And I never see Black children in there. And I mean, never. I never have. And it's like, why are we not taking advantage of stuff like this? Because some of these damn Black kids around here need that help. And this shit's free. It's not even like they're charging. This shit is free. And we're not there, man. We're not there.
Yeah.
What keeps us from, I mean, let me ask you, Brother Mike, because I know what I think about this, but I want to ask someone who's going to answer in a more intellectual capacity than I'm going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think keeps us from going to these places? What keeps us from enrolling our children into these things, even though they're free? What?
It's not. It doesn't have the same instant gratification as sports entertainment, right? So they'll pay big bucks to send their kids into AAU or into football, Pop Warner and all that stuff. You have to remember that Pop Warner is pretty expensive. You got to pay for helmet, you got to pay for cleats, you got to pay for pads, you got to pay for medical examinations, stuff like that, head treatments, stuff like that, travel. That's very expensive. But if you took that same amount of investment and you put that into a little boy at 7 to 8 years old and into a coding program, by the time he's 18, he's on par, if not better, in a better position than his non-Black counterparts. But see, we don't do that. We wait till they're 18, 21 years old. Well, other groups of people, especially Asians, are already grooming their kids at 5, 6, 7 years old to be in STEM. If you look at Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley started from the garage. Microsoft started from the dormitory. Same thing with Facebook, started from the dormitory. Apple computers started from the garage with Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. We don't support that type of stuff, right? The idea of someone tinkering, a little boy tinkering around is not masculine to us. We don't think that's masculine. We think that's lame and that's weak. And thus that sort of social pressure that gets put onto Black boys to do something more physical takes them away from that creative learning.
Do you find with the platform that you guys have, do you find yourself getting a lot of pushback because of the material you guys cover? Do you get pushback from detractors and trolls, if you will?
Absolutely, we've had detractors. We focus on space exploration because that's the future. Overall, I mean, you have all these other industries in the fourth industrialized revolution, but space as a frontier is the future. One of the articles that we covered actually explicitly stated that Black people or melanated people have stronger genetics than their non-Black counterparts, and thus, when white people go into space, they are more subjected to the harsh elements of the environment in space, and so they cannot really survive that long out there. Especially just in the International Space Station, they come back with all types of physical issues. Their brain turns into somewhat yolk, like an egg, because it's just so impactful on their bodies physically. And what they have found is that Black people's bone density is actually stronger than that of their non-Black counterparts. So if anyone is going to reach to Mars at any point, it would probably be some African person or some melanated person.
Well, let me stop you right there. So what you're saying is that Black folks are probably better suited physically to be, in space. Is that what you're saying? Absolutely,
because the UV rays and things like that, our body is more, our skin is more tolerant to, the conditions of the sun. Whereas non-melanated people, Caucasian people, man, their skin usually flares up at any sort of exposure to that. And you see that even when they invaded the continent, they can only go so far into the continent during slave trade because they would actually they would suffer from it.
Wow, that's incredible. What do you know? What the percentage of Black astronauts are right now? I mean, I'm sure it's probably not that many, but do you know what the percentages are?
No, I think it's got to be like 10% at best. The United States puts out more. What would be the main contributor to Black astronauts, right? I haven't seen any, but from what I saw about the new telescope, the new James Webb telescope, there are a lot of engineers that are really behind that are Black. So I think it's just an opportunity that's not being presented to a lot of Black people, but mostly because Black people don't really delve in that space too much. They could, but they just don't. And so it's a matter of opportunity for them.
So when we talk about these kind of things, when we talk about, Black scientists and Black tech people, Black astronauts, et cetera,
mm-hmm.
Is it more so us keeping ourselves out of it, or is something else keeping us out of it? Is white folk keeping us out of it?
It's a combination of the two. You still have racism in the tech field, that's for sure. But also we stunt ourselves by not engaging in it more. So I'm a part of NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers across America. I'm in Region 1. So there's about 6 regions. Region 1 includes Africa, so western part of Africa with New York and Boston, Massachusetts, and stuff like that. If you don't engage with people of like mind in these areas, you're never going to be able to, navigate it, at least at a deeper level. And what I found is that you have a brotherhood within NSBE. And a lot of what NSBE does, we kind of replicate that on the Black Brain Trust as well, creating a cohesion of brothers and fostering opportunities based on some of the discussions that we have. We do a lot of open business model. So we know, for example, that there's space junk just sitting above Earth. There's a lot of fragments of space junk and satellites that are decommissioned, that are non-working, that most countries can't afford to pay anybody to go up there. Similar to AAA would come to the roadside of you. If you had a flat tire, there's opportunities to go up in space and actually do satellite repair, replace batteries, replace circuits at a cost. I think this is an opportunity for a lot of Black Americans to actually get involved in from an autonomous vehicle standpoint, from a rocket standpoint. You can actually build rockets in your backyard now. We covered an article with some high school students recently who built a 10-foot rocket and actually got it into space and actually put a satellite up there, what we call a cube satellite. Cube satellite is probably the size of a box of cookies, and this satellite actually works in terms of communications, and you can put a camera on there as well, and it can actually see the ground. There's probably dozens of them up in space right now that have been put up there, but the blueprint for a satellite is actually on NASA's website. All you have to do is download it, and you can replicate it yourself, and you actually get it into space. So we covered articles on that. We did a whole entire live stream on that. And we think that these are opportunities that can actually be invested into from a Black American standpoint, if they so want to get into these areas.
So is it an open market for that? You spoke of space cleanup, I guess cleaning up space junk and space debris. I mean, is that a thing already? Is that already a thing where they're going up there and they're cleaning it up, or is that something that is possible in the future?
It's possible right now. There are probably thousands of pieces of space junk just floating around. I think NASA talked about that a few months ago. And there's nothing they can really do about it because they don't have the resources to actually go out there and expend just cleaning up other people's space junk. There's a lot of dead satellites, there's a lot of fragment pieces and things like that that are just floating around. And if no one else is going to do it, why not ADOS? Why not Black Americans? Why not get into this market? Why not get into space exploration right now? This is where we need to be in terms of being at the cusp or the edge and at the beginning of an industrialized market and emerging technology. We have to get to the front of it and not play catch up. That's always been our thing on the Black Brain Trust, is to be at the forefront of all emerging tech and not be at the end playing catch up, because we played catch up before and that really hurt us.
Yeah, seems like we catching up. We always playing catch up, man, in some degree or in some form, and it sucks. We've been joined by Complex Design. What's good, brother?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Prophet Thought? What's going on, Mike V?
I'm just in here chopping it up with the brother, man. Won't you go ahead and I guess introduce yourself and give everybody a little synopsis of who you are, what you do, and what your capacity in the Black Brain Trust is.
All right. Well, I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Brain Trust, along with my good brother Mike V, Lionel, Anti-Gravity. Man, it's a lot of brothers. Jack Charles, Paul Bryant, Nagone. there's a lot of brothers, man, that you know, who have serious pursuits in real life, and decided that what we wanted to do was actually bring that to the YouTube forefront and create a platform, you know, to really kind of push a different narrative about, you know, who we are as Black men and what we're about, you know. So, you know, my place in it, again, you know, just I'm kind of just like a, you know, a maverick in a lot of regards, man, in terms of like my technology, my personal things that I do, stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, man, that's pretty much what my role is in the brain trust.
Well, now that I got both of you brothers here, and I didn't even know Brother Nagone was part of the Black Brain Trust. I mean, Nagone, that's my people right there. He ain't even put me on to all that. But
yeah, he's the consigliere.
yeah, I didn't even know that. But me and him, we haven't really been talking. We used to talk all the time a few months ago, but you know, he's busy, I'm busy, so we haven't spoken in a while. And when I started seeing him on there, I was like, damn, Brother Nagone is part of the Black Brain Trust now. You know, that threw me for a loop. I was like, damn, when was he gonna tell me? God damn it. But now that I got both of y'all on, do y'all believe that? Do you brothers believe that? And I kind of asked this to Brother Mike V earlier, but I'm gonna ask it kind of again now that you hear Complex Design. Do you brothers believe that there's too much BS on media?
Do we believe that there's too much BS on media? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yes. When I say BS, because you know, I mean, a lot of the conversations that we have on here, it's sort of like if you look at one stream, you've seen 100 of them, you know, because a lot of us talk about the same crap. A lot of us talk about a lot of meaningless shit, you know, and I'm guilty of that shit myself sometimes. And I watch you brothers, okay? I try to watch you brothers every time you come on live. And I sit and I listen to the content and I write some of the shit I hear down too. And I'm like, damn, you know, because you brothers are like a breath of fresh air from all the other, you know, all the other shit that I watch. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the shit's entertaining. Some of the shit's very entertaining. But when I listen to you brothers, I always know when I listen to you guys, I'm going to learn something. Okay. I'm going to learn something when I go there. I'm probably going to learn a lot of somethings when I go there. When I look at other people's stuff, I know I ain't going to learn too much of anything. I'm basically just going to get entertained, you know, and laugh at some crazy stuff, you know, and probably hear a whole bunch of arguing back and forth and not be able to understand what people are talking about. But when I look at you guys, I always learn something. There's always something to be learned, things that I didn't know about. You know, I mean, you guys have expanded my worldview, you know, by the things you talk about, you know, every night. So that being said, do you brothers believe that we're kind of I don't want to say augmenting per se, but are we misshaping ourselves, man, by taking in all this other crap? Anybody?
Yeah. Well,
You wanna jump on that one first?
Yeah, we are. To answer your question, it is impacting. Now, to what effect? I can't really specify a percentage or what the level of impact it would be, but I would say it's pretty bad in terms of the overall nature of it, because it's not good. Not just from a public PR standpoint, but also a cultural standpoint, because now you don't have a culture that's going to push for excellence. And right now, the culture is actually pushing for mediocrity, and you see that replicated within the manosphere itself. And it's unfortunate that people would rather sit on a live stream, 500, 600 people to talk about the wife or the non-black wife of a black billionaire, rather than to sit around and actually chop up some serious game about these new industries, with asteroids that have trillions of dollars, multi-trillion-dollar asteroids are floating around the Earth right now, and we're not even talking about how we can get access to that. One asteroid will lift every single ADOS person out of poverty for the next 10 generations.
Wow. And why is that, Brother Mike V? I mean, what's this stuff made of? That's so, what's it made of? What's up there?
Oh man, there's so many rare earth, rare minerals up there inside those asteroids, man. There's gold, platinum, palladium, just all types of iron inside some of these asteroids. It's a plethora of minerals up there that can actually be used here on the ground. And unfortunately, we have not even paid attention to that. If you can get one asteroid, if you can capture one asteroid and you can mine it, that's the equivalent of having one farm.
Are they actively mining asteroids now? Is that going on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Japan just put their Hayabusa rover on one of the asteroids earlier this summer, and actually have been successful at landing on it. So the Europeans are looking to get onto another asteroid as well. And the question is, how do you bring back the resources? So you can get on it, but how do you bring back the resources? They figured out a way to actually do it, but you can also use that asteroid as a vehicle to get to other parts of the galaxy, because it's moving at such a tremendous pace.
Wow. So, okay, they're up there mining now. And you say China's doing it. So Japan's doing it.
Yep.
So as it stands now, the United States isn't doing it.
I would say the United States is more focused on Mars and the moons around Jupiter and Saturn. That's where their interest is, conquering the moons and the other planets at this point. In terms of asteroids, those are very application specific tasks. It wouldn't doubt me that NASA is actually looking at this stuff, but I haven't read any news about NASA actually landing on an asteroid for mining purposes. But I think that's going to be a more privatized industry, because it takes a lot of private investment to get into something like that. You'll probably see companies like Caterpillar, John Deere, your typical American mining and earth moving companies come up with contraptions to actually get up there and actually mine the material with autonomous vehicles and robots. We saw the Boston Dynamics robot just last week doing somersaults and whatnot, just like a human being would, right? I don't know if you saw that video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where we are right now. So you factor in 2035, 2045, exponentially better with the technology.
So is it realistic? Is it realistic for us to get up there? Is it realistic for Black folks to get in on it? Is that a realistic thing? Is that a true possibility?
I think so. I think if we collectivize our resources, our human capital, I think there's opportunities there by 2060, right? Let's put a time. If we were to stay on track from 2019 all the way up to 2060, we can get there.
What are we talking?
Because it's not about Brother X and Mike V or anybody on the Black Brain Trust. It's about the unborn that are going to have the opportunity to walk into facilities, to walk into environments and say, this is the agenda, and they're going to have to pick up the mantle, right? They're going to carry the torch.
Well, I would assume that part of the problem is convincing many of us that this is realistic, that this is possible, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So how do we make that happen? I mean, I know watching brothers like you is part of it, but I mean, how do we make that happen? How do we make our people see that, there are these STEM fields out there that's
Mhm.
available to us and for us, and we need to get our damn kids into it? How do we convince them? What do we do? Do we grab them and choke them by the neck and punch them in the face and say, look here, this is what we need to do? I mean, how do we do it, man?
You got to start by having a conversation. You know, innovation comes from complex conversations and complex dialogue. If you're not having complex conversations, you're never going to have innovation at all. And that's part of the reason why in the manosphere you see a lot of basic routine live streams happening, because there's nothing complex going on. You got to force people to have a conversation about something, so that somebody says, you know what, brother X is a power mechanic or a power engineer. Okay, so how did brother X's skill set transfer into what we're trying to do in terms of launching rockets into space?
Well, because do you think that it's realistic that schools would kind of get on board with this, and particularly the quote unquote black schools, if you will, would they be willing to get on board with getting a little more deeper into the STEM fields and science and space and things of that nature? Do you think that you could get more of them to kind of get on board with this? Because I think as it stands now, they're not really invested deep into STEM when it comes to black children. Do you think you could get them on board?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We have something called Maker Labs, right? Maker Lab is a platform used for this very sort of development. You can actually, if you look at Maker Labs, these facilities, all you need is the right amount of space and the right amount of investment. Here in Boston, we have a new Maker Lab facility going up. That's going to be a part of the public library infrastructure, right? So now what that means is the libraries in your neighborhood would actually partake in the learning aspect of this sort of technology and this sort of endeavor. So now it's a part of your tax budget. So now you as a taxpayer become a stakeholder in this sort of endeavor, because libraries are now partaking in it. We spent $18 million refurbing an old bank to turn it into a workspace for technology. So make a complex, got a lot of noise, but
Well, let me ask brother Complex Design, because if I remember correctly, brother Complex, are you a commercial grower, or am I thinking somebody else? Is he there? Yep, he just went off. Because I remember hearing him before. I don't know, maybe it was somebody else who had a similar name, but I remember you being like a commercial grower, right, brother Complex? Are you still into that? Oh, he went off again. Damn. Are you there? You might have to go out and come back in, brother Complex. Yeah, you might have to go out and come back in. Well, let me I guess while brother Complex get his stuff set up, let me ask you, brother Mike B, what is your main field now? I'm pretty sure you're probably into a lot of things, but what is your main field now? What is your main focus right now that you have going on at this moment? Damn, I can't hear him either. I can't hear you either, brother Mike B.
can you hear me now?
Yep, Can hear you now.
Yeah. My main field is cybersecurity, threat intelligence.
Oh, we just lost Brother Complex again.
Yeah.
So your main thing is cybersecurity. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of opportunities in that, right?
Yeah, it's one of the most underemployed industries with the highest demand.
So do you find that a lot of brothers are locked out of that industry, or are we just not, taking advantage of it because we may lack, the education, we may lack the, the drive to do it, or we just don't know about it? I mean, what's the deal with the cybersecurity field?
Cybersecurity is a very niche factor field. It's very particular. You have to have a mindset to go into it. You don't just go into it because it's Tuesday. It takes a certain mindset to actually be a part of that, especially on the defensive side and the offensive side and the operation side of it and policy side of it. So I focus a lot on operations and policy. And so for me, I have a strong IT background. So I came with a very long IT background, and plus I have an undergrad in information security, cybersecurity. So that allowed me to pivot into the industry where I am right now. I think what happens with a lot of brothers is that they don't have the technological background to actually be a part of that. You don't necessarily have to be an IT person per se, but you do have to have the mindset going in. And I think what happens here is the deeper thinking, the deeper analysis that's required to actually partake in it in this sort of market. A lot of brothers just miss the boat on it. But most universities now teach it, especially even at the community college level. You can definitely get into it now. And you make quite a bit of money going into it. So I know some guys making 250 grand just doing it.
And you would think with all these fields out there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much out there, and there's so much, opportunity, man, and money out there.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that we would be more into this kind of stuff. Because I know if I was a younger guy, I would probably be into this kind of stuff, but like I'm a mechanical engineer. Everybody knows what I do. I have some, computer operations that I have to deal with, to run my business. But, for the most part, I'm not really an IT guy. I'm a hands-on guy. I can take anything apart and put it back together. But, you would think, because I talk to young brothers about this all the time, and I tell them, you need to get into those STEM fields. You won't want to be a grunt worker like me for 25 years before you start your own business. That's something you can probably do in 10 years, so I kind of don't understand why there's not more brothers into this kind of stuff, because you would think that as opposed to trying to raise everybody up to be a rapper or a basketball player or football player or baseball player, you would want to be raising up some scientists and some doctors and some astronauts and some IT guys and some cybersecurity guys. And, because all this stuff isn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I mean, like you said earlier, a lot of the jobs that people have are going to be replaced by robots. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be AI doing this stuff. I fear that my industry, some of that is going to be replaced by robots. So you would think that we would have that mind state, but unfortunately, I don't think a lot of us do. I mean, we're so behind the curve, so to speak, when it comes to this kind of stuff. And then we wonder why the hell we left the hell behind. I mean, I don't know how to stress it, enough when I talk to people, in the real world. Forget here on YouTube, because a lot of this stuff on YouTube is just enough to make you want to cry when you when you listen to some of the stuff on here. You just want to just go into tears. So let me ask you, what do you see in, say, the next 10 years, 20 years? Do you see more of us in these fields, in these STEM fields? And do you see more of us over the next decade or two? Do you see that happening?
I do see it happening for Black men. I think what's happening here is that due to some of the domestic policies that this administration has put in place with these H-1B visas, they're starting to turn to Black male labor. And because Black men speak English at least at a very high level, the cultural aspect is allowing them to be integrated into certain industries without outsourcing to India or Bangladesh or Indonesia and these other Central Asian and Southeast Asian countries, especially with what's going on right now with China and this trade war. It's allowing more opportunities for Black men to get into these sort of markets, these vertical markets. So my advice, and to answer your question, and my advice to younger Black men is to go to a community college or go to a vocational tech school, 9 months on HVAC or refrigeration repair, electronics technicians. Those sort of schools are very viable, and most of the time it's free, depending on what your household income is. So if you come from a poor household that's below the medium household income of $36,000 or something like that, the school is actually going to be free for you if you apply for the right grants and the right Pell grants and whatnot. So I would take advantage of it now while the opportunities are still on the table. 9 months, usually about 1,500 hours. You can knock that out. It's better than sitting on YouTube for 8 hours on a live stream. Put that time in and walk out with that certification, that certificate, and apply that to some of these new industries coming online, such as renewable energies, autonomous vehicles, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I talk that stuff too. I mean, you would think that, because I remember when I was coming up, okay, when I was a kid, my father was a landscape architect, right? And he had his own landscaping business. And we would go to certain places where, my father would do the layout and the sketches, for the landscape. And when they were building houses, you saw carpenters, you saw masons, you saw roofing guys, you saw electricians. And 90% of those people that I used to see out there were brothers. They were Black. Okay. The carpenters were Black. The electricians were Black. The masons were Black. The guys who came in and did the drywall were Black. The cement guys were Black. Now, fast forward 30, 40 years, everybody out there is Hispanic. And it's like, you see this stuff and it pisses me off. Okay. Now everybody got a right to a job. Fine. But it pisses me off that there aren't more brothers in those type of fields as well. Because like where I'm at, I'm in Charlotte, right? The Queen City. There's so much building and construction going on out here, man. I mean, you can't drive 2 miles without seeing a bridge being built, a highway being built, an apartment complex being built, a skyscraper you can't drive 2 miles without seeing that. And every 5 or 6 work sites you see, you may see a crew of brothers. Everyone else is Hispanic. So I think that we're getting beat because we're not taking up these trades. We're not taking up carpentry. We're not taking up HVAC. We're not taking up plumbing, masonry, welding. We're not doing it. At least where I am. I mean, maybe I'm just in the wrong state, but from what I see, I ride down the road with my wife sometimes, right? And we're driving and I look and I see a crew of brothers. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. It's a crew of brothers, doing this, you know, because I don't see it that often here. So when I do see brothers on the crew, it's amazing to me, man, that, you know, you got brothers obviously making a good income. You know, they're not on the street or out there shooting folks in the head and all this kind of nonsense. You know, brothers actually doing something with themselves. So you would think that we would be encouraging this kind of stuff, you know, as opposed to trying to encourage everybody to be LeBron James or you know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because everybody's not going to be LeBron James. All right, everybody's not going to be Jay-Z. Okay, everybody's not going to be Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock or whoever you want to put in there, fill in the blanks. It's more realistic to teach your son that he should go into a STEM field, and if he doesn't really have the ability or the desire to go into the STEM field, how about going into the trades? So, I mean, we are so far behind on this stuff, brother Mike B. And if we could get brothers more focused on not just the trades, but more focused on watching brothers like you, because I feel like your channel kind of steers people, man, in the right direction. You know, I guess people who want to be steered, because I guess you got to want it. You know, I'm a true believer that you have to want it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you brothers steer people in the right direction. I listen to y'all, man, and it makes me rethink shit. It's like, damn, you know, maybe I should take, you know, a little bit of money and invest in this here. You know, I actually think that stuff as I watch y'all. So I know you brothers steer people who are steerable. You know, I mean, what are we going to do about this, brother Mike V? What are we going to do, man?
We're in crisis, man. And the idea is to put that information out there and have that conversation. We call it difficult conversations because most Black people are unwilling to even have it. You know, it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of the culture. It's always passive. It kind of gets into a lot of escapism. People just don't. I mean, you can look at Black YouTube and then you can look at non-Black YouTube, and you can see the stark differences between content creation. People should be talking about, you know, the fact that Black people across the board lack a savings account. They don't even have at least $400 in savings in their account. So what happens when a recession comes and it knocks you clean straight out of the market? You can't recover from that. You need at least, they're saying at least $100,000 to retire in this country. How are you going to retire if you can't even hold $400 into your savings account? So by, you know,
exactly.
So what happens when we start talking about 2050? The reason why we even started talking about 2050 is because we look at the perspective of slavery. From 1865 up until the 1890s, Black people went from being whipped in chains up until having industrialization of oil and other inventions that move Western society today, electricity, the phone, most of your modern vehicles, you know, brakes and solenoids and things of that nature came from the invention of Black men. And it only took 30 years for them to do that. So how do we replicate that same exact sort of momentum coming from a dire state? And I think when you think about it, you know, 30 years from now, 2030, 2040, 2050, that's where that comes from.
So let me ask this.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine, brother.
Yep, we can hear you clear.
Man, because there was so much of the conversation was going on, man, and I couldn't get in. I was on my way home from work, and I was like, damn, I hope I can remember these questions that you were asking, Brother X.
All right, well, I'll swing back around.
Yeah, just swing back.
No. Stay where you at, because I've been picking the hell out of brother Mike V brain. Goddamn it, he probably got a bunch of little needle holes in his brain right now, because I've been picking the hell out of his brain. So let me pick yours a little bit. If I remember correctly, you were or you still are a commercial grower, right?
Yeah, so we're in the hemp and cannabis industry. A partner
Okay.
in a hemp farm,
Okay.
along with my business partner, Anti-Gravity. You guys may see that dude's name floating around the manosphere.
Yep.
Yeah, he lurks around, but that's my partner actually right there. And so yeah, we do have a hemp holdings company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to remember, because I remember kind of being on the panel with you a while back. You know, we was on the Master Teacher BGS panel, I believe, a while back, and I remember it being talked about. So okay, you're a commercial grower, so you obviously have, you have a grasp on, some futuristic stuff. Um, are you do you do this as, is that your main thing? Is the commercial growing your main thing?
No.
Okay.
So what we have a trade group. That group has 3 companies. So it's the umbrella organization of 3 separate companies that we run that deal with different industries. So one of them is hemp and cannabis, as you mentioned. The others are in the area of micro transportation and technology. So
Okay.
basically, everything that we do as far as our pursuits are based in like the whole fourth industrial paradigm that you'll hear us talk about all the time on the Brain Trust.
Mm-hmm.
So is that let me ask you about that, about the the hemp and growing and stuff. Is that a field of the future for brothers? Is that something brothers should be getting into as well?
Man, I don't know how many conversations Mike and I have had at length on various podcasts in the past where we've talked about everything from the industrial applications of it to the social equity aspects of it to some of the things that we have yet to even invent or discover from hemp and cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a resource that's wide open. I mean, you could do everything from make medicines to batteries with it.
Okay.
Okay, so pretty much it's kind of like a pick your pick your place in it if you want. Like we always think that if you say, oh well, I'm in the hemp industry, or I'm in the cannabis industry, then you're about the dude who's basically growing some weed so somebody can smoke it. But in all actuality, there's so many other venues from which one could kind of stake a claim in hemp and cannabis. And I mean, we're even talking like biofuels. Like there's just so many different lanes you could go in that it's wide open. So like when Mike talks about things like space exploration, for example, right? Like we've been kind of like we've been kind of chided on YouTube for making mention of these types of things and talking about it. But it's kind of like when you think back, and if you had the ability to get into the petrochemicals industries, say like at the turn of the last century, right at the turn of the 20th century, right at the time when the Rockefellers and everybody else, the Oppenheimers and everybody else staked their claim in it, we wouldn't be talking generational wealth. We'd be living it. Okay. See, so at a time in the past where there were only certain types of people who were thinking a certain type of way, when you fast forward into the future, those people today, you now know them as J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers, Oppenheimers, Carnegie Mellons. You see, what I mean? We know the names. Okay. Say that again, Mike.
Etna.
There you go. It's another one.
Etna was involved in the slave trade as well.
Right. You see, so there's activities that were once kind of like fringe, which now have created institutions that are about as commonplace as the Chase Bank that you see on the street corner when you're driving down the city areas and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the equivalent to today would be like your space related firms, your hemp and cannabis related firms, your blockchain cryptocurrency firms. Your electric vehicle firms, app development, coding, cybersecurity. See, so these are going to be the venues of this time that were the venues of that time in the past, where people ended up building great institutions, or they came to be great institutions. So like the things that you create right now in these burgeoning industries are what is going to become the great institutions in, say, like another 100, 150 years from today.
Well, let me ask you brothers this. Should we be pushing brothers to get a good job, or should we be pushing brothers to have more of an entrepreneurial kind of outlook on things? What should we be what should we be kind of pushing brothers towards?
You push them. Well, I would say you push them towards what they're best suited for. You know, I used to, one of my jobs, that many jobs that I've held in the corporate world, was as a corporate recruiter. And I used to recruit in the steel industry. Okay. You see, so there's certain men who are cut out to like serve a role. Like there's a guy, there's guys that, I'm big into stuff like welding, for example, right? Like I'm real big into that type of stuff because I'm into motorsport, and a lot of that stuff requires that you weld up bars and roll cages and stuff like that. So I can appreciate a dude that can lay down a really good bead of weld. Okay. A guy who can,
I weld all the time.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. You do
always
MIG,
welding.
TIG and all that. Okay.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
metal fabrication. We do all that stuff.
That's what I mean. I'm not expecting a guy who's highly skilled in those venues to like start an insurance company. You know what I mean? It's like people who have a certain aptitude and a skill set for something. What has to happen is that should actually be fostered and developed so that you can become highly specialized. So, it's like, okay, you got like your average dude who can weld, and then you got the guys who get the really, really, really big bucks because they can do some highly specialized type welding. Okay, so there's levels to it, and it really just kind of depends on where you're trying to be. Now, I would say this on the entrepreneurial side of things, there's a lot of brothers that actually have the chops to really take entrepreneurialism seriously. They don't have the tone of seriousness within themselves, though, to do it, because that means as an entrepreneur, you're owning all successes and failures, right? You're taking ownership of the whole process, as opposed to the guy who's basically just saying, look, in the entire process, I'm just a welder, right? So whichever the case, though, I mean, shit, you should be either highly skilled or highly entrepreneurial, one or the other,
Or both.
or both. There you go.
Be
Ain't nothing wrong being both.
Yeah, I kind of echo what Complex is saying, but I also say that I think getting a good job represent a lot of the learning process. So you get to see what happens on the inside of an organization.
Yeah.
In order for you to run it for
Yep.
yourself. Just some feedback coming from you, Complex.
I mean, because brothers, I've always taught brothers that if you want to start a business, you probably should work in that business for a while. Because before I started my business, I did it for other people for like 24 damn years. I did it for other people for more than 2 decades. So, I mean, I was pretty proficient in it after about 15 years. But I mean, after doing it for 24 years, I knew that I could strike out on my own and be able to, because one thing you never lose is your knowledge of something. So I knew when I went out there, all I needed to do is figure out, the ins and outs, how to kind of start it and, get a, EIN number and all that kind of stuff, but everything else I knew. I mean, I knew I could get right to work. I didn't have to let me train for a year. I could just get right out there and do it for myself. So I always tell brothers, if you're interested in a field, it's probably a good idea to maybe do it for someone else for a while before you just kind of jump into the pool, without without a life jacket on.
Well, so yeah, the entrepreneurialism thing, you know, it's number one, it's not really anything that we don't really value it in Black culture like that. You know, we don't like Black culture doesn't have like a startup culture, right? Where, you know, that's just kind of like a thing where, you know, it would be commonplace, for example, for like a young brother who's like 17, 18, 19 years old to, you know, start up a company. You know what I mean? It's like,
We believe in the hustle aspect, right? You know,
right.
moving goods from point A to point B on either on a bartering level or on a very microeconomic level.
Right.
We don't believe in the process of a startup. So we don't believe in sweat equity. We believe that, you know, everything should be instant gratification. You know, you see brothers get their first paycheck and they go out, go buy some Jordans with it or something like that, right? So money comes in and money goes out just as fast as it came in. And that sort of thing is not sustainable for the long term. That sort of idea is not sustainable for the long term. So therefore, what Complex is saying, I agree with. We don't have a startup. We don't have a startup culture at all.
And that is the problem. I mean, I don't know. Well, what I see in my travels, you know, around here,
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of brothers who aren't really taking the initiative per se. You know, you see a lot of young brothers just kind of just hanging out, you know, just kind of doing nothing. You know, if you go down to like the transportation hub or, you know, you coming down through town, you see a lot of brothers not doing too much of anything. You know, they're not really doing anything. Now, mind you, I don't know what they're doing. You know, maybe they got a job holding up a pole. I don't know. But I mean, it seems like there's, in many cases, you know, there's opportunity out there, and it just often appears that people aren't pursuing said opportunities. That's what I think, more than anything else.
Well, you know, they say, what is it? Energy goes where, what is it? Attention flows where energy goes, or something like that. So, you know, basically, if your awareness, you know, if what you are aware of, the things that you kind of like put into your head in terms of like information and stuff, if it's not if on a regular basis, if it's not something that's talking about what's next, what's new, what's, you know, as far as like technological trends, industrial trends, stuff like that, then you're not going to know what type of careers and positions and opportunities that are aligned with those trends. You're not going to know what those are. You're not going to know the trends, the industries, the technology, nor any of the opportunities that go along with it. So you'll never even see it. You'll be none the wiser. You know, so it's about the kind of information we consume. Now, I heard you guys actually talking about it earlier when I was on my way in. So it doesn't really bear me kind of bringing it back up or anything like that. But I just will say that, you know, if you spend a lot of your time like just talking about shit that like doesn't have a focus of putting money in your pocket or something, then in my view, it's a waste.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I've often said, and I know brothers, and I've got some hate mail for this shit, but I've said many a times that, you know, you hear brothers say, you know, I don't want to work a job at, you know, someplace where they do carpentry, or I don't want to go and try to be an apprentice to an electrician, or, you know, even a damn stock boy at Sam's Club for that matter.
Well,
You know, they say, oh, I don't want to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't want to do this kind of stuff. But these same brothers will spend 10 hours a day standing in front of Family Dollar asking for $1. These same brothers will spend 10 hours a day down in mom's basement freaking playing Xbox and PlayStation. And that kind of stuff puzzles me, because it's like you will spend 10 hours of your day doing positively nothing, making $0, but you won't go work a job for 8 hours to make some dollars. I mean, what am I missing here? It's like I don't get this kind of stuff, man.
Value
lost.
proposition.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, value proposition. Like valuing your time. Right? Like, see, as a man, and this is just kind of like my thoughts on this, right? Like everybody can kind of, take it for what it is. I already know Mike sees it much the same way, but I believe that time is money in like the truest sense of the word. Right. I really truly believe that time is money. Okay. And if you're not maximizing on the time that you can be utilizing to make money, then not only are you losing money, but you're losing time that you could have made money because you'll never get the time back. So if you're comfortable with just sitting your ass on the couch playing PlayStation, or just, like you said, kicking it in front of the, little dollar joint, seeing if you can get a buck or two off somebody coming in and out or whatever, that's about it. What that tells me, that's about as much as what you value your life and your time. Like, you get up every day, and so you go kick it in front of a dollar store, and let's just say in the span of 1 hour, you might get like, $3. That's basically what you value an hour of your life, $3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you are on PlayStation and you like trade a player, right? You spend all day playing, and you on Madden, you trade a player, and you're like, yeah, I just got this dude. Okay, well, that's what you've assigned. The value that you've assigned to that unit of time in your life is basically that of a virtual nature. It's not even like real. Right? Whereas other people, I know guys who literally, when they break their shit down, they make like $800 an hour. When you really break down how they make their money, they may not be getting paid that hourly. It may be like some contract stuff. So they got a contract with someone, and they provide a service or they do something. And when you break down the amount of work that they have to do for this client on a daily basis, like the breakdown is like $800 an hour.
Wow.
Okay. So really it comes down to, how do we value ourselves and how do we value our time? Do we think our time is valuable? We live life as if we just have like an abundance of time. And when in all actuality, it's finite. You only have but so much time as a man to be productive.
Well, I've often said that we kind of live our lives like, we're never going to grow up. We're never going to get old. Our children are never going to grow up. We're going to live forever. One thing I discovered, and I'm guilty of this shit too, so I'll put myself right into the bag too. I didn't even have life insurance on. I didn't even have life insurance, man, till I got to be like 43. That's when I bought, that's when we first bought life insurance, and I never thought it was important. I mean, we make sure it's up to date now because, me and my wife, any day, one of our asses can fall dead. But I got to be 43 before I realized, hey, you probably want some life insurance so your wife don't have to start a freaking GoFundMe to bury your black ass. So I mean, some of us, I guess we just late bloomers. We don't think about this kind of stuff, and I do. Some of my work is pretty dangerous because I work on commercial cutters and shit like that, that can chop your head off in one fell swoop, and they'll be looking for it 30 feet away. So, I said, let me go ahead and, get some life insurance, just in case something happened. My wife won't lose the house. She won't lose the car. She won't have to, go on GoFundMe, to put me in the ground, that kind of shit. So my thing is this. I don't want brothers to make the badass decisions I made. I want brothers to know the shit that I learned when I got 40. I want brothers knowing that shit when they 21. That's my goal, man.
Well, man, what's interesting about that though is like, it's that whole sort of, you can lead a fish to water type of thing. And it's not as if like these things that we're talking about, this is kind of, maybe sort of what really kind of boggles my mind about a lot of this stuff. And I know, Mike, we've had a lot of discussions about this type of stuff too, but it's like, it's not as if us as black folks are walking around here and we're living we're living like this one reality, and then everybody else is living a different one. Okay, that's not the case. You use the same Apple iPhones that the rich people do.
Yep.
You wear the same Nikes they do. You drive the same cars they drive. Okay, your mindset ain't where theirs is though. That's why you see a schism or a disconnect or some sort of difference. Why they have something and you don't. Okay, well here's the thing: they do things that you don't. That's the truth of the matter, right? You can say, well, white people can't afford to, bury their dead and this and this and that. When the reality is what you just said, Brother X. Well, what do you think life insurance is for? And it doesn't really take much for all of us to go get a policy on ourselves. If you have a bank account, you can opt in for an associated life insurance account that might go to the tune of maybe like 20,000 supplemental or something like that. It's something that'll pay for services and whatever else in the event of your timely death, maybe even leave some to your child. I mean, I know this from experience because I lost my wife, and because she was an educator and all that type of stuff. And, just kind of how we had things set up. I mean, I'll say that wasn't something that I had to worry about because, shit, who wants to worry about that when, you really have to just deal with the prospect of losing a loved one, so we should do things that can mitigate like the level of stress and struggle, right? There's things that we can actually do, practical things like that does not require an 8-hour argument or, some sort of pronunciation against racism or something. No, like apply. It's literally just fill out the paperwork for a life insurance policy. Simple.
How do you create? And that's what we talk about. How you create community-driven financial vehicles that would aid in a situation like that, where they don't
Absolutely.
have to, where they don't have to struggle. They can go right into the community co-op and actually get the resources necessary. This is where we start talking about black public banking, right? A black public bank would actually put the power in people's hands and not into the private investors' hands, such as Bank of America, J.P. Morgan. Black people need their own public bank, and that creates those sort of financial vehicles to aid in these sort of events, whether it's a life changing event or it's about investing into a startup.
Yep.
Provides democracy it provides democracy to us. And the oldest public bank is in North Dakota, and that was used in the 1920s to help the white farmers avoid the recession. So
it helped a lot of people avoid a lot of the recession shit that happened in 2008 too.
Yeah.
People who banked at the public bank of North Dakota. Is that what it's called, Mike?
Yeah,
Public Bank of North Dakota? Yeah. Like that bank was one of the few banks that was pretty solvent. Can have no problems, no issues with what happened globally.
Mm-hmm.
See, so I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, in that public banking talk for black people ties into the legalization of cannabis.
Yep.
So now you talk about social equity programs that are focused on black males who have been disproportionately affected by the drug policies of this U.S. government. So now we're talking about an alternative form of reparations and institutional building.
And we have spoken at length on this shit so much. So I'll tell you right now, I will not entertain any bullshit arguments or discussions about this. Point blank, period. Because 2 feet in it, and there's been too many measures that have been introduced from a legislative standpoint, like not only from a national standpoint, but locally, where I'm at in California, and in other places as well. When I'm dealing with other brothers and sisters who are in the industry also. Okay. So, that whole sort of, we have to get out of this mindset of like looking at reparations as just like a check that, you know, a long overdue check for slavery. Okay. That's not, it's not, first of all, like just from a reality standpoint, right? If you were to just to calculate it up, I've heard some estimates that it was like 10 trillion, 17 trillion, or okay, there's not even enough money in the United States, you know, it can, you know, circulating in the United States economy to pay that thing out. So what can you get in lieu of something like that, or as an equivalent exchange? You can get something that will give you that value in the preceding future. If it's not available now, you can be put in a situation to acquire it in the future through things like what Mike was just talking about. By any other word, having a social equity stake is essentially the equivalent of a reparations, because the social equity piece is the reparative measure. So if you lived in a community, for example, that was over policed for like say drug related offenses like cannabis, right? Nonviolent drug offenses. And due to legalization, there now has to be a measure put on the books that says, okay, well, look, we can't enrich people on something that we busted people for legally. Okay. At the very minimum, what we have to do is, in order to put something on the books that says these people over here can get rich, we have to put something on the books that says, well, these people that took a hit for it also have to have the ability to get rich off of this. Mm-hmm. That's where the expungement of nonviolent drug offenses and weed charges and stuff, all that shit's getting expunged. You know, if you lived in a certain zip code that was policed heavily, say like during like crack era LA, right, in the 80s and shit. If you live in like 90008, for example, okay, step to the front of the line. Okay, now who's heeding the call? How many of us are heeding the call? Mm-hmm. Right? And how many people who, let's just say, got deep pockets, if there's any athletes or entertainers or anything like that who's listening, who says, well, look, you know, let me be the funding source behind the people on the ground floor who took the hit, who are now trying to get in line to get the business. Let me put the money behind them so that we can carve out a niche in this industry. Because see, nobody's going to give it to you. Mm-hmm. No one's going to give it to you. So we can put social equity statutes on the books. We could put legalization on the books. We could put all this shit on the books. But shit, if you ain't going to pursue it, I guess you just going to leave it on the table. Mm-hmm. And see, and every other group will happily step up and take them crumbs on the table, or whatever shit, the whole cake, the pie, whatever it is, however big the slice is, every other group is getting in on it.
$8 billion industry in the state of California for 2019.
And it's just going to climb. And like I said, we're not even talking about all of the other industries that span off of things like hemp and cannabis. Mm-hmm. There's a whole science sector. You know, there's so much to it. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. We're talking about discoveries to happen over the next 30 to 40 to 50, going on into 100 years. Okay.
I think a lot of this stuff just goes undiscovered, man. Because I've been watching, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Folks need to go to it's something called the blackout.org. And what blackout.org is, well, they build themselves as a blackout, as an economic revolution, so to speak. And what they do is they give you a map of Black-owned banks, mm-hmm. Black-owned credit unions, and they also give you a map of One United Bank, because One United Bank is the biggest Black-owned bank in this country.
That's my bank.
Stands right now. Oh, yeah, of course, you know about it, Mike V.
Yeah, I live right down the street from the headquarters.
Okay. So you know they're the biggest Black bank. They have more branches than anybody else around. But people will be surprised how many, Black-owned banks and Black-owned credit unions. So I would advise everybody to go to the blackoutcoalition.org to see if you got, one of these Black-owned banks near you. And maybe you should be banking Black, man. We always talk to see, this is what pisses me off. We always talk about we need our own financial institutions. We need our own this. We need our own that. But when we have it, so many of us act as if we don't. I mean, once we know that we have it, we're not banking with these black banks. We're not investing in these black projects. We're not doing it. And if we are doing it, we're not doing it in the numbers that we should be. And you would think we would be, as much as we freaking yap about it, right? So I mean, that pisses me off too. So get on down there to blackoutcoalition.org. The links in the chat, and you can see the maps of the black owned banks, and maybe you should start putting some of your money in some of those. All right. But yeah, I think that often what happens is, man, we get so caught up in stuff that doesn't mean anything. And I don't just mean, on YouTube, because this is just full of crap that doesn't mean anything. But I'm talking about in life. When I spoke earlier about brothers willing to stand in front of the liquor store for 10 hours, but they won't go work a job for 8. They're willing to be down in the basement playing a Xbox for 10 hours, but they won't go work a job for 8. And I think a lot of that crap is, I don't know if it's encouraged. I don't know if we're trained to do that shit. I just don't know. But I know there's a lot of times millions and billions of hours being wasted on nonsense, when those millions and billions of hours could be invested in learning STEM. They could be learning growing technology, like Brother Complex Design is into. They could be learning cybersecurity, IT, like Brother Mike V is into. I think we have a problem wasting goddamn time. And I hate to see brothers wasting their time and wasting their lives. Nothing pisses me off more.
It's a procrastination mindset. It's a procrastination mindset. So I think it's going to take a major impact for them to change their ways, right, to the environment. A recession, the next recession will do that. It will force a lot of black people to start eating out of garbage cans or waiting in bread basket lines and things of that nature. Already saw a chick recently coming from the ER, they had to pump her stomach eating damn near cat food. So starving so much, man.
And that's not exactly something, in my view, that's not something that we should be dealing with, because in an era of self-driving cars and automation and artificial intelligence, why the fuck are we eating out of trash cans?
It's getting to that point, dude. It's getting to that point. People waiting outside of Burger King for them to dump those burgers out, and they're gonna grab them. They're gonna go in there and go grab them. And this is before the recession. So you imagine when the recession hits, what the impact is going to be. A lot of cars going to get repossessed. A lot of eviction notices going to go out. Where they going to go?
Yeah.
Because the Trump administration under Dr. Ben Carson has reduced the amount of Section 8 vouchers that's going forward.
Yep. I mean, we're having that right here in the Queen City. And I know Raw Black, he know what I'm talking about, because he's down here. I mean, the housing crisis down here, man, it's crazy. I mean, I literally, at this point, this is the first time I've seen this since I've been down here. People are actually living in tents right now. I mean, look.
Oh man, that's all over California right now, fam.
Man, I never saw it in the Queen City before, man. We were riding up along 12th Avenue, and I just saw all these tents, just tents everywhere. And I'm like, I've never seen this here. I've seen it other places, but I never thought I would see it here. And I mean, because I had my wife with me, and when we see that kind of crap, my wife, she must goddamn stop. Oh, pull over, I'll go there and give her money and shit. So we pull over, and I go out there, my wife, she's giving her money and shit like that, because that's just who she is. She's giving her money and shit, and she's talking about how, the people were telling her, how they got kicked out, of their places, and they couldn't find another place to live. I mean, some of those people had been out there, man, for like 10 months living out there. And I mean, they literally had a tent city. Those of you who are in the Queen City, if you go up 12th Avenue, where 12th Avenue meets, I believe that's Graham Street, I believe, right there between 12th and Graham, there is a tent city. I'm not making this up. It's really there.
If you go to downtown LA, Skid Row, and it's so bad that, bro, I don't want to post any links, but you can, for anyone who out there wants to do it, just go ahead and just YouTube it, right? Because it's a thing that people are doing where they just go down there, and you have to behold the sight that is downtown LA. I mean, it's literally, there's an area off of Skid Row where it's like a shanty town, basically. It's beyond a tent city. It's literally, you ever seen like a favela or, a lot of those, like kind of, what they call it, steel siding shacks that are built that are kind of like,
the tin shacks.
It's like that in downtown LA, where people now just refer to them as shanty towns. That's how bad it is. But the worst part is that it's probably 80% brothers down there, man.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
They just covered a story. They just covered a story here where people are putting their stuff in storage, but they're actually moving into the storage facility.
They're moving into the storage, yeah.
Because it's temperature controlled and they can sleep in there. So or they're not supposed to sleep in there, but they can. But you had the public health. Somebody took them off, and public health came in and had to start clearing those storage facilities out because so many people living up in there. They'll sleep all day and then come out at night.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough, man. It's and there's not a lot when you see that kind of stuff. When you see that kind of stuff, you're like, damn, man. How did it get? How does a person get to this point, like where you're literally living in a tent? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I do okay for myself. Okay, I'm not rich, because if I was rich, I wouldn't have to freaking work. But I mean, I do okay for myself, and it would take a lot because we have a lot of things in store. My wife and I don't have small children anymore. All my children are adults, so it's basically just me, my wife, and my dog. For the most part, that's all I got to worry about taking care of. Me, my wife, and my dog. So, I mean, I have some things in place to keep us from, so ended up sleeping in a tent or, in a fucking tin shack or, I mean, I would have to get hit really hard, for that to happen. Not saying that it's not possible, but, I'd have to get really hard. So you would think that we as a people we would spend more time in our lives kind of padding. I call it padding our lives. I mean, I got a backup car. Okay, we actually have a backup car that if our other cars are fucked up, I got a car in the backyard right now that I don't even drive. I just go back there and crank it up every couple of weeks, make sure the oil's changed, shit like that. That's a backup car, just in case our other cars fuck up. We got that.
Well,
so
you
I
say
try to
that
pad the shit.
Well, you say that, and X, maybe I'm showing my age a little bit. Like, Mike, Mike and I, we're not millennials. We're Gen Xers.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm Gen X too.
Right, and I'm saying I'm in my early 40s, so I came up where my pops is going on his mid 70s, and he grew up on a farm in Texas. I'm first generation Californian, so I came up under a dude who used to kill his goddamn food as a kid for the family. You know what I mean? So he's of the mindset of like, so for example, if you own a home, you have to have a truck. You should not own a home and not have a truck. Like that's the kind of thought processes that our elder men who were resourceful and productive. And I think I heard you speaking to this earlier on in the stream. But collectively as men, we used to function a certain way. We used to function a lot different than what we do now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I like I said, man, my pops, man, I talked to, I smoke blunts with my pops, man. Like, Vietnam vet, 26 years, California State Penitentiary System. He's a lieutenant. He's a sergeant. Look, man, that's a man's man if there ever was, right? And, there's just certain things, even as I start to get older, that I pick up, man, about men who really had to like carry the load and be responsible for shit. I'll never forget this, man. One day I'm at my dad's house and the garage door's up and I'm standing right where the garage door closes, right? But it's up, and I ain't thinking about nothing. My dad turns around and he's like, hey man, like get from over there, man. You standing right under the garage door. See, it's that kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That where you think about warding off things and protecting you, yourself, your loved ones, your possessions to such an extent where something like your son standing under where a garage door closes, he's like, look, get away from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you live your life as a result of that. So that means you do things like having a life insurance policy.
Yep.
Pad your savings, put a little money over here, put a little money over there. You do it habitually, have a car.
Yeah.
Like you said, that backup car.
And a backup call, man. Because you never know what the hell,
You-
you never know what the hell is gonna
Exactly,
happen.
man.
That's what I always say.
Man, my pops would be on some shit like he says, look, man, self-preservation is the number one first rule of survival.
Mhm.
So
Damn right.
make sure you got everything you need so that you can survive.
We have escape, me, my wife, and my damn dog. We have something called an escape pack. And the reason I started it a few years ago, I said, because if some shit hit the fan, we got these boxes that all we got to do is just grab this box. We all grab this box and we good. We got a couple days worth of food in there. I got a little bit of cash in there. I got a little toolbox in there. I even got dog food in there. So, if we have to grab something and bounce,
You never know.
you just grab it, bounce. If somebody done blowed up the cars, we got the backup car back there. We jump in that motherfucker. We get you, me, you, and the dog. We
grab
out.
grab the hidden Crown Royal bag that's got 1,500 stashed in it. We got to roll.
Man, let me tell you something. Ever since I was about 30, that's something I've always did. I've always stashed money. My wife, she be like, oh, you should put that in the bank. Hell no. What if they blow the goddamn bank up? God damn it, I need to be able to put my hand on this money now.
Yeah.
Because who knows what the hell is gonna happen. But let me get to this question that my man
I was
Black
gonna say
Ram
he asked a question. Yeah.
Black Ram want to know, do you guys see the eventual collapse of the economy will be due to bad fiscal policy, or is it failure of capitalism itself? Shout out to brother Black Ram. And
Hey, what's going on, Black Ram? Peace, Jay.
Subscribe to my brother. It's my people right there. So what do y'all think about that?
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Mike, you want to jump on this one?
Yeah, I'll jump on that.
Go ahead.
Do you guys see eventual collapse of the economy will be due to bad fiscal policy, or is it a failure of capitalism itself? Yeah, combination of both. Capitalism Western capitalism, keep that in mind, has run its course. It can no longer. It's an extractive sort of system where it takes from other people, but it doesn't actually produce anything of its own, and it can only do that for so long. There's no return on investment to the people at the bottom, which is why you see black people are disproportionately poor relative to their white counterparts. Bad fiscal policy is bad foreign policy. What they did with China is exactly why China is where they are right now, and the United States is where it is right now. I don't think that they'll recover from it the next recession, because at this point, there's nothing they can really do about it unless they go to war and then take everybody else out, because they refuse to share power. They believe in a unilateral society, or a unilateral sort of system around the world. And China, Russia, India, all your emerging countries are not going to tolerate that, a unilateral sort of system. So they want a multipolar sort of world, and with a multipolar world, you eventually have you'll have to share that sort of power if you're the United States, or accept being defeated at the end. This is where we are right now, and this is why a lot of ADOS needs to really. This is the time to actually get it together. While they're in decline, you got to be on the incline. So
They've always been on the incline when you were on the decline.
mhm.
Really, when you think about it.
Yeah, we got
You
to
know?
we got to expand out. That's the only way
Yeah.
that's the only way you're gonna stay competitive in this sort of marketplace. We don't produce anything from an Black American standpoint, so we've always been on the outside of capitalism, Western capitalism as a whole. So we never really been a part of it.
Well,
But
no, we were when we created hip hop culture. The problem is that we didn't own its intellectual property, and so we didn't directly benefit from it. Not in the way we really should have. Not when trillions of dollars were made on it, you know, and you got a couple millionaires, right? You point to Jay-Z and maybe like a handful of others, but when you look at it as a global phenomenon, yeah, that was something ADOS created, but didn't possess intellectual property of. And I think that's the takeaway. You know, when I always hear like, well, you know, Black men you haven't created nothing. Bullshit, bitch. We created fucking an entire culture that the whole entire planet has adopted to some extent or the other. So don't say that Black men in America don't create shit. I
well,
think what we need to do is we just have to learn from the business element, the business side of it. Like, what do we take away from that? We have the ability to create something that can generate billions and billions in revenue. Okay, proven. Okay, that's been proven. All the record companies, all those record execs, and all. Ask them how they were able to put their kids through college, and they'll tell you. So now the question becomes, can we do that now for ourselves? Do we want to do it for ourselves? Are we disciplined enough to do it for ourselves? Do we give a fuck enough to do it for ourselves? Are you gonna allow everything that a woman thinks or tells you about you affect whether you're going to be a productive male or not? You know what I mean?
right.
Well, let me ask you brothers this. We're pretty much at the point now where we have to, you know, we have to grab the bull by the horns. Now, we don't have any other choice, because if you don't do it now, you're lost. You're going to be left behind.
2053, you're toast. Sayonara.
There it is. There it is, man.
You may not have a community in the next 100 years.
Wow. And I've heard that before. I've heard that many times before. And, you know, I'm convinced now that is true. You know, that's if we make it to 2050. I'm starting to believe it may be sooner than that.
Well, here's the thing. It's not. See, the thing is this. It's not like a linear type of thing, right? Where it's kind of like a 0-1 type of transaction, right? On or off. No, there's you know what I mean? Yeah, binary. You know, it doesn't just go like that. You have to get to 2053, right? So there's going to be like 2044, for example, right? What does that look like?
You said 2024?
Yeah, 2044, right? Like you're on your way to 20. You see, we say 2053, people go, they kind of benchmark it. They go, okay, well, I'm gonna bookmark that right there, and we'll wait to see what happens on. Dude, are you thinking about like 2044? A mere 9 years away from that, but what? 24 years away from now?
Well, I think if you're waiting up until 2044, I mean it's already game over. It's already late in the fourth quarter.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, dude. 2053, we post game, bro. We commentators are interviewing the player of the game.
Yeah, definitely, man. We revised it, on the Black Brain Trust to maybe 2030, 2035.
Yeah.
That could be, that will determine. That's halftime.
Right. Yeah.
Halftime. if you still haven't made any moves by halftime, it's already over.
That's what I was about to say. Like at that point, man, it's like this, dude. Like if black folks, ADOS, whatever the fuck we calling it, right? Like if there isn't like a firm cultural pivot, right, that has made it not a global impact, but a global impression. So what that means is that the rest of the world notices a fundamental shift in the black population in America, right, towards an ascended path. If that shit does not occur, would you say, Mike? What year did you give it?
2030.
2030. Okay, so fuck it, we're gonna roll it 2030. If it don't happen by 2030, game over.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to talk 2050, 2053 with y'all. I don't even want to talk that shit. We gonna be too busy cracking off some other shit, man.
Well, it's already past halftime. So for them, if they didn't make a move by halftime, it's already too late.
Yeah.
When we talk about like people eating out of dumpsters and stuff like that, like that's literal of what we're talking about. Like massive homelessness, the government cutting subsidies and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
It's just one of those things where black people you may not make, you may starve to death. I mean, a lot of kids go to school hungry right now. They go to school just
They go just to eat.
Yep, just to get some food. That's the only reason why they there. And as if we don't have a crisis in education when it comes to young black kids as it is, where you got a kid who the only reason he's focused on school is because he's going to get a couple meals that day. I mean, that puts a whole new spin on it. It's like we're already at a crisis. I cite a study a lot where they say only 20% of black children are reading at grade level by the fourth grade, and it's the same with math. So you throw in there the fact that this child goes to school with his stomach growling every morning. It's like I mean, what are we going to do about those kind of things? I mean, because if a child has to go to school primarily to get something to eat, he's already on a path of failure right there.
Right.
The fact that he's coming from this household where he can't even eat.
Right.
And that's where things like the Urban Farming Institute comes in. Because now what they're doing is they're taking these 100,000 vacant lots across Black America, turning them into urban farms, because now they can get grants and subsidies for them. So now you can grow your own food in your neighborhood, and they accept WIC and other government food stamps and things of that nature to purchase those fruits and vegetables.
And Mike, what was it called? Guerrilla farming.
Yeah, guerrilla farming is what they call it.
No, the hangout that we did.
Oh, guerrilla farming, we did that in August.
Yeah, what was the name of it? Guerrilla farming, and it was the other one. Hemp? Was it hemp?
Yeah, I think it was like legalization of cannabis or something.
Yeah. If y'all want to go to the Brain Trust, check out, just dig through the archives, guerrilla farming and cannabis legalization. I think or hemp legalization. That's kind of like the running title of it. But go and check that one out.
Yeah,
we dug deep into this.
Yeah, so I've been doing volunteer work, Brother X, man, on urban farms, man, and the indigenous people have been able to recover, reclaim land that was stolen from them by the oppressor through the court system. They've been acquiring acres of land in parts of the state and turning it into farming, and they focus heavily now on growing cannabis for medicinal use, medicinal production use, and supply chain as well, distribution as well. So they're thinking on that level. Indigenous people, Indian people are thinking on this level. Africans are thinking on this level now. But when it comes to ADOS, man, they're looking at this and they're saying, I'd rather go buy a steak and cheese from Piggly Wiggly and instead of growing my own fruits and vegetables. So that's what the mindset is. But that's what we're focused on here.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're gonna have to, many of us are gonna have to learn self-sufficiency, man. I mean, and it's not just those of us who maybe on the lower end of the social economic scale. Some of us who have means, probably won't hurt for us to, be a little more conscious with how we spend our money, what we invest in, how we eat, stuff like that. All that stuff matters, man. I tell people all the time, it's all relative, man. It's all relative. So, I mean, especially when you talk about, because anybody should be able to eat, if nothing else. Fine. You don't got any money. I mean, you live in a messed up neighborhood, in the hood, projects, wherever. You should be able to eat, especially a child. I mean, there's no reason why a child shouldn't be able to freaking have a few meals a day. So, I mean, if you got people who are waiting for them to dump their trash in Burger King and McDonald's, if those people have children, what are their children going through?
Yeah, the kids are going
What
to
are their
sleep
children
hungry.
going?
They eat and sleep hungry.
Yeah. I mean, come on. If you got grown people out there, man, waiting for them to dump the garbage, man, behind a fast food restaurant, what are those kids going through, man? And when you live like that, it's usually, those things are usually catalysts to other shit. It's catalyst to abuse. It's catalyst to freaking drug use. All that shit is relative, man. When you somebody who at a point where you can't even eat, man, ain't no telling what else you got going on in your life, what else you're willing to do to eat, and what else you're willing to let your children go through.
Wait, Mike,
A hungry person ain't a person thinking clearly, man.
Mike, what was the term that Dr. Phoenix said? I can't recall what the term was.
ACE, adverse childhood effects.
Effects. Yeah. So all those things that you mentioned qualify as adverse childhood effects, which then lead to some other type of psychological issues once you start to approach like adolescence and all that. So all of those things that you mentioned are actually categorized and classified as things that actually create catastrophic type of, or like traumatic type experiences in a child's life, which leads to things like psychological issues. So big, huge shout out to Dr. Phoenix. He's our resident health subject matter expert on the Brain Trust.
Yeah,
And
Dr. Phoenix is official, man.
Yeah, he's very official, man. And he's the one hipped us to that. It allowed me to understand more about maybe some of the things that I see with my daughter, given that she lost her mom at a young age, and giving me that understanding, I see things completely different. And so now I try to do things with her to kind of work with that. But those things that you mentioned are just that. They're considered adverse childhood effects.
I mean, it's just crazy, man. Because like I said, I mean, if you got all that going on, you got severe, because that's severe hunger. You got severe third world type hunger going on in the household, man. Ain't no telling what else is going on in that household, man. There's no telling, I mean, when the basics are missing, other crazy stuff seeps its way in a house with no food, kids are starving, the adults are starving,
You're seeing videos being posted on YouTube, black people stealing packs of meat from Stop and Shop and Piggly Wiggly in these places, man. Just to I saw one video, man. The sister had these sweatpants on, man. I don't know. I mean, they were quite big, but she had stuffed both her legs with packs of meat, hot dogs, and everything, and tried to walk out of the store with them. But that's where we are. And black people,
Yeah.
when we talk about 2053, people say, "Oh, that's not going to happen. That would never happen." It's happening right now.
Yeah, it's already happening. I'm telling you, man. I never thought I'd see tent cities, man, in the Queen City, because where I live is such a growing place, man. I mean, this place has grown tremendously since I moved down here. Things always going up, buildings always going up, businesses always opening. I would have never thought I would see a tent city. I believe somebody in the chat, I guess they live down here too. They were saying about how they saw so many right here, Furman Patterson. They talked about how they were downtown yesterday. There's tents So you see,
Everywhere.
y'all, I'm not making it up.
Mhm.
I never thought I would see it, man. I was shocked. I mean, I look, man, I'm talking, I'm a tent city,
Yeah, Tent
a
City.
real live tent
Yeah.
city. And I got out with my wife, because I had to be out there, with the heat just in case something stupid happened. Because my wife want to stop and give money and shit. So I'm out there and I'm walking around and I'm like, and there's a lot of brothers out there. There's the pregnant women out there.
Oh,
There's little
man.
kids out there. I mean, just and
Oh.
and it's horrible, man. It's horrible to see. And guess what? 90% of the people that were out there, man, they were black.
Yeah,
They were black.
Oh.
They were black, man.
that's where we
They were
are right
black.
now. And,
Yeah.
you know, this is 2019 and you're seeing this. Imagine 20 years from now, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute disaster because nobody prepared for this. No one wanted to have the conversation, and now it's so big, it's going to spiral right out of control to a point where, maybe two out of every three black people are going to be one paycheck away from being homeless.
Mm.
One
Yeah,
paycheck away.
man. That's why I tell people, man, stack your stuff, man. Don't spend stupidly. Don't try to live a champagne lifestyle on a Budweiser budget. Just don't do it, man, because you need something for a rainy day, and God damn it, you may need something for a sunny day too.
Right.
I mean, we have to be smarter with our money, our resources, our education, how we raise our children. We just have to be smarter, man. That's the only way we're going to win. Okay, that's the only way we're going to win. We ain't going to win because see, I go. Let me tell you something, man. I know quite a few people, and I travel every few months, right? And you know how many people that I know, man, I walk into their house and they have children and I see everything. I see Gucci bags, I see Jordan sneakers, I see a 75-inch TVs in every bedroom and another one in the living room. I see Xboxes, PlayStations, and all this fancy shit. You know what I don't see in those houses? Books. Books. I don't see one damn book. And to me, that's odd because I grew up in a household where we always had World Book Encyclopedia, almanac, dictionary. I guess because of how my father was. I mean, we always had that bookshelf. I mean, it's so ingrained in me. Like right now, I got a bookshelf in my house. That's the first thing you see when you walk in the door is a big ass bookshelf with books on it. I have study guides. I have freaking scholastic
Manuals.
children dictionaries. I mean, all kinds of shit, maps, glossaries, novels, whatever you want. They're here. I got scholastic algebra books that I go through because I'm an old man, I'm a grandfather. So I show that stuff and read that stuff to my grandchildren and stuff like that because that's how I grew up, man. I mean, we always had books in our house, man, when I was a kid. So to see people have so much money to invest in giant 4K TVs, 55 pairs of Jordans, the newest PlayStation, the newest Xbox, and all this other kind of nonsense, Louis Vuitton bags, but you don't invest one damn dollar in trying to amp up the child's education. You don't spend one damn moment trying to encourage this child to read. I mean, that stuff just puzzles the shit out of me, man.
Well,
It
I
just
mean,
does.
I think there's also sort of like, okay, what really because if people don't have and I'm not going to get into like, okay, the lack of importance placed on these things as the reason why we don't really have an idea of maybe where to place our dollars in order to do these types of things, especially in this technological age, right? So for example, I'm like you. I grew up with a damn encyclopedia set in the house. Okay, all that shit that you said, so I came up with Gen X, right? However, I have a 7-year-old daughter. Okay, so what she likes to do is she likes to do things like use Google Earth to learn about places, right? This is how she has a list of all the places that I'm gonna have to take her. You know, but she's on Google Earth learning about the world. So remember back in the day, we had a globe. Remember, we used to have globes in our rooms. You know, you spin the globe and, you know, spins around that little thing. And okay, today it's Google Earth. Okay. Instead of the latest Madden 20 or whatever game, whatever the popular game is, right? That just
Fortnite.
Right,
It's
right.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Okay, that's the one, right? My daughter be around here doing the little Fortnite dances and stuff. But instead of Fortnite or buying like the little add-on pack that you can get for, okay, how about this? Go on to like either the iPhone or the Apple App Store, Android, whichever platform you use, and go buy an app that allows you to take pictures of plants. And then based on the leaf structure, it tells you what kind of plant it is, where it's native to, if it's edible or not, stuff like that. Right? Because see, we have technology now that our children can use to do things such as that, is to use technology to identify plant species and stuff. Is it poisonous? You know, what can this be used for? Does it have a medicinal use? Or, you know, or just what good is it, right? Or should I just stay the hell away from it? You know, so apps like that for example, or we've pushed this a lot because it's a very simple tool to get people in the mode of doing this. But, you know, I would say download Robinhood. It's an investment app. Okay. You can buy stocks commission free. Go buy literally throw $10 at it, man. Go buy some stock.
Yep.
Because here's what happens. I guarantee you literally just go ahead, do it. $10, man. Go buy some stock. Go do some research on a stock that's you know increasing in value, or it's in an area where you know you have an interest in. So you could take indicators based on your interest and say, you know what, maybe I need to buy some of this company right here, or buy some of this because they're gonna be doing this right here. Now what happens is that when you own some stock and then you see it increase in value, that shit becomes infectious. Because now you're making money passively. Remember, we was just talking about value in your time. You know, so there's your passive income and your non-passive income if you work a job. So your non-passive income is what you negotiate on an hourly basis for whatever job you work at, where you get paid $17, $18, $20 an hour, whatever. That's your non-passive income. Your passive income is the shit that you do when you're not getting your non-passive income. Uh-oh, what just happened?
No, I just
You still alive?
spotlighted you. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah, you're still here.
Oh,
You're
okay.
still here.
That's the income you make when you're not making your non-passive income. Your non-passive income can be from a side business that you're doing, or things like, again, you know, buying stocks. The reason why I suggest Robinhood is because you can not only buy stocks, but you also buy cryptos. You know, and not only that, but you can also get you know a debit card, and then if you need to use funds from those holdings, from your Robinhood holdings, they give you access to them. See, so that's another way where one, you could teach your children about like you know taking $5 here, $10 here, and putting some money away and investing it. Now, like you remember back in the day, where it was always like you know put money away so that you have some money to do this. Right. In today's time, it's going to be, you know, put your money in a Robinhood so you can build your Robinhood account up. You know, there's so many things now that from a technological standpoint are kind of like the equivalent of what we did. You know what I'm saying? And I think what we got to do is we have to do the technological equivalence.
Yep.
Well, I think this is about awareness mostly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that's kind of what we do in the Black Brain Trust is we focus on the literacy aspect as well as the awareness aspect. So I think we covered those areas fairly well, but I also think that the onus is now putting back on the consumer, right? So whoever subscriber is or the viewer is, it's up to them on what they're going to do with it. We can't hold your hand all the way from start to finish, um, and we're not going to
Right.
live in a tent with you either. If that's the black community today, man. Um,
We're finished. We're finished.
and so now X, you see it. You see it now
Yeah.
that you are absolutely finished. No running water, no electricity, and while ADOS is living in tents, Africa is on the come up, big time.
Yeah.
They're ramping up every
Oh
single
man,
year.
see, you done went there.
Yeah, the Africans are ramping up, and unfortunately, if you don't have at least $100,000 in your IRA or your 401k, you can't retire here. You cannot retire. It's impossible. You have to live.
Gonna be tough.
You have to live off of at least 15 to 20 grand a year. So
Yeah.
with 100 grand, you're talking about what, a good 10 to 12 years of savings. That could, that's at best you can live off of that. If you run into an emergency, some kind of medical emergency, that can tank you, take you
Yeah.
right out of the game. I always propose my strategy is to take 100,000 and retire out in Africa by 45. I just don't see myself retiring here with the way the market rent is, the way the mortgages are, and just the way the direction of the country is going. I don't think it has the best interests of ADOS or Black Americans at all. We may have to start thinking about an exit strategy, a Brexit.
Yep.
And
thinking the same thing.
yeah, and in my view, I think I don't know. We could take that a number of ways, right? Because that term could actually represent maybe a few different frames of thought. But in my view, and I have to shout Mike V out for this one because this is kind of what brought he and I together. Was our view on the continent.
Mhm.
And so I would say that maybe I had my Brexit moment when I had to concede to Mike on the benefits, or I guess you could just say the pros of infrastructure development and investment on the continent. That's kind of what led to further understanding fourth industrialization, which then led to sort of like kind of what our platform is built on now. You know what I mean? So Brexit could happen just like that, where the interest turns from being very insular minded, very sort of hood based, and being more global.
Mhm.
Right? It actually switches. And so now what we're doing is that we're actually importing capital. We're actually bringing capital from outside and bringing it in.
$100,000 on a continent would be the equivalent of $1 million in the United States. You can live like a baller over there.
Yeah, man.
Baller. So that's where my strategy is. I'm not a certified financial planner. If you want to certify,
No,
go
we're
to
not
CFP.
that.
Yeah, go to CFP.net and look up one in your area. We don't give out financial advice on the
That
profit
is
of thought.
not us.
Yeah, on the profit of thought or on the Black Brain Trust. So please go to CFP.net and look up one in your area.
Yeah, I'm not a financial planner either. You talking to somebody who still takes money and sticks it in a camera case and shit and underneath the mattress. So you probably don't want to be listening to me with your financial shit. I'm still stuffing money under the bed and shit like that. So I'm not the one to listen to. But
Hey X, it's been great, man. Thank you for
yo,
having
man.
us on, man.
I appreciate you brothers coming on, man. And as always, man, when I listen to you brothers chop it up, man, I always learn something, man. I hope this is not the last time. that you brothers are on the T.P.O.T YouTube page, man. You know, hopefully I can get the whole crew here, man, one night, man.
Yeah,
Get
holler at us, man.
everybody up in here, man.
Well, we're like
You
a
know?
hydra, man. You know, the good thing is that, you know, we don't say, hey, we're the guys like that, right? Like, we say it time and time again. Brain Trust is an intellectual co-op, so it's, if you are someone who contributes your intellect, then you are a member, right? So,
Okay.
you know, it's a decentralized platform. You know what I mean? We're just two of the early representatives, but you know.
Okay. Yeah, I can't believe old Nagone ain't showing. I'm gonna call his ass tomorrow because I do have his phone number. I'm gonna call you, yo, man. Why you ain't had your ass on the show
Hey,
last night?
that's my big bro right there, man. He just out there. He out there handling business. What's going on, big bro?
Yeah, I know he is. I'm still gonna call his ass though. Like, yo, man, why you ain't had your ass up on the stream last night? But once again, man, I appreciate y'all brothers, man. And you know I'm always gonna be down there. You know, you see me in the chat, you know, and you know, I'll come through, man, catch y'all whenever I can, man. Cause like I said, I always learn shit, man, when I listen to you brothers, man. And that's what I respect about y'all. That's what I respect about y'all the most, man. You know, I'm always learning shit when I come down there. I pass the shit along. I share the videos. I tell other people about you, like I'm going to do right now. So all you folks got to do, look down in the description box. Go ahead, hit that damn link. Get on down there, subscribe to the Black Brain Trust channel. It's right down there in the subscription box. Hit the bell so you can get the notifications when they go live, like I do. Because guess what? We always talk about opening your mind here, and you will definitely get your mind open down there. So get your black behinds down there. You might just learn something. Yeah, I know it's painful to learn this stuff. I know it. I know it hurts sometimes.
My brain hurts.
But it's a good hurt. It's a good hurt. You know, sort of like working out. You know, it hurts, but it's a good hurt. The brain works the same way, man. It's a good hurt.
It's a muscle.
After a while, you just get used to it. You just get used to it. That's all. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all brothers coming through, man. Hit me up, man. I gotta come down there and chop it up with y'all one day, man, and fucking make all your fans mad at me and shit, and unsubscribe from the channel.
Oh, we don't have fans, man. We don't have no fans.
I tell everybody that. I said, shit, I come down here, boy, your damn subscribers will be mad as shit. They'll be like, what the hell you got X on there for? Jesus
No,
Christ.
I mean,
I
look,
hate
man,
that guy.
No, man. You know, real quick, man, we do have to kind of just clear up some misconceptions about us, man. It's it's basically, man, it's if you're putting your intellect in on the discussion, if you got a piece that you're putting in on, then that's pretty much all that's required, right? Like, just understand that, like, ain't no fuckery on that platform, right? So by mere virtue of that being the case, if you're putting in on a discussion over there, then it's valued. Bottom line, because there's topics, there's a docket. We have discussions about specific things. So if you're putting it on that specific thing, then ain't nobody gonna.
Yeah, I gotta come down there and chop it up with y'all, man, one night and shit. Gotta be a night that I ain't work though, because sometimes I be listening to y'all, I just be like laying across the bed and shit. I be fucking tired, goddamn it, to do anything. But yeah, I gotta get on down there, man, and I salute you, brothers, man. I got a lot of respect for you, man, and you know, I'm gonna stay tuned. I'm gonna stay tuned, man, and keep learning some shit, man. You know.
Absolutely.
But
Thank you.
Once again, man, I appreciate both you brothers, brother Mike V, brother Complex Design. Like I said, Black Brain Trust. They are two of the founding members. It's a whole bunch of those guys. But y'all follow the Proper Thought series. Y'all know we've had Dollar Will on here. We've had Brother Linnell on here.
Yep.
We've had Dr. Phoenix on here. I think Dr. Phoenix is in the chat. You know, so we've had pieces of the Hydra, you know, on here and there, you know, here and there. But, you know, I want to get all of y'all on here one night, man, because that right there would be official. You know what I'm saying? I get all y'all on here. You too, Nagone, your ass watching. And that's right. I'm going to call your ass tomorrow, too. So once again, man, peace, brothers, man. I appreciate it tonight, man. And don't let this be the last time you find yourself on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. All right?
All right.
All right, brothers. Peace out, man. Yeah, just got off the line with the Black Brain Trust, man. I mean, these are some highly intelligent brothers, man. When I think about these brothers, their stuff is very highbrow. Um, they don't talk about the crap the rest of us talk about all the time. You know, y'all know the stuff we talk about all the time. You know, they don't, they don't do that. They all this stuff is very, very highbrow, very intellectual. They talk about, jobs that are in the field of STEM and science and space technology, geopolitics. I mean, these brothers are, up there. Like I said, they up there. And like I said, I watch them pretty much every night that they come on. Usually I come in here, I be tired as hell. They be just coming on, and I'll go ahead and I'll just lay across the bed and listen, because there's always something going on down there that'll keep your brain working, keep your brain working. So once again, you need to get your black behinds down there. Look right down here in the description box. Hit that link. Go ahead, get there, subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that bell so you can get notified when the Black Brain Trust is going in on a topic, because the brothers, they explain it well too. They don't just do it, they actually do it well. I got a lot of respect for those brothers, man. And you go down there, you're gonna see OX down there. Yeah, OX be down there. Yeah, I'll be down there. So maybe one day I'll hop up on there and maybe get involved with a conversation, depending on what they're talking about. Because a lot of the stuff that they talk about, I'm not too savvy with it. I don't, some of the stuff I don't know that much about it. That's why I watch them, so I can learn about it. See how that works? Do you see how that works? All right. So you should do the same thing. And I'm just gonna close with this, man. When you got brothers like that, when we got brothers like that, man, within Black society, we need to be utilizing them, because brothers like that, they're not just people on YouTube, man. These brothers are a resource. Okay. They are a resource for brothers. It's like getting a course for free. I mean, because they on every night. They're on every night. It's like getting a course every night for free. So you need to go on down to spots like the Black Brain Trust, get your pen and your pad and sit down and pay attention and take notes. Because I guarantee you, if you listen to the Black Brain Trust for a couple of weeks and start writing shit down and start doing some of the things they suggest you to do, you'll look up, your black behind will be somewhat smarter, because you'll know some shit. And that's a fact. Go ahead, do it. Do it. Tell you what you do. I'm going to give y'all a challenge. I want y'all to go down to the Black Brain Trust, subscribe, like I said, hit that bell. Watch them every night that they come on, and just take notes about what they talk about every night. And then go ahead and do a knowledge check of yourself after about 2 weeks. Guarantee your black ass will be smarter. I guarantee you will be smarter. And if not, let me know. Write me, hit me up in my email. I'll retract my statements. But I know that email's not coming. It's not coming. It's just not. It's not. We got brothers like that in the community. We got brothers like that in Black society. And we should be utilizing brothers like that. Because like I said, man, it's like a course for free, man. You can't beat it. You can't beat that kind of stuff while we sitting around listening to a bunch of nonsense that ain't going to help nobody. I don't think I've seen the Black Brain Trust since I've been subscribed to them. I don't think I've watched one of their damn streams that didn't teach me something that I didn't know. I don't think I've watched one of their streams where there wasn't valuable information throughout the whole thing. I can't think of one. Can you say that about the rest of our damn platforms? Because I know some of the shit I do ain't worth a damn. You ain't learned nothing for the whole 2 hours you've been watching. Yeah, you might have been laughing and giggling and listening to a bunch of nonsense, but you didn't learn anything. I can't say that about the Black Brain Trust. Every time I've watched this show, I've always seen something interesting, something worth learning, sites to go to and check out shit. It's like I always say, you always hear us talk about, oh, we need to have, this, that, and the other thing on the internet. We need to have people who are teaching the folks. We need to have people who give solutions and solve problems. There it is. The Black Brain Trust is that. So when I go down there tomorrow, that means I'm gonna see all of y'all, right? Right? I'm gonna see all of y'all down there because, see, this is what we want, right? It's the type of stuff we want on media, right? Well, it's down there. It's there. So what's keeping your black behind from going down there? I know nothing, because we're too busy watching a bunch of BS. Right? Let me find out that you're always talking about what we should be doing, what we should be having, and what should be talked about. But when you got brothers down there talking about it, your black ass ain't there. Shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Because when you got brothers like that inside black society, brothers like that give me hope. Only problem is, I just wish it was more of them. You understand? You understand? But anyway, I want to thank everybody, man, for coming out tonight, man. Good show tonight. Like I said, these brothers, highbrow conversation, serious brothers. Yeah, good show tonight, man. Very, very good show. Now, what I want y'all to do is get your black behinds down to the Proper Thought series on Facebook. That's Proper Thought, one word, series, the next word on Facebook. That's our community page. Go ahead, like the page, share the page, follow the page. You can always catch up with old X down there. All you got to do is drop me a line. I'm guaranteed to get back to you within 24 and 168 hours, guaranteed. Also, you can find out what's going on the T.P.O.T YouTube page as well. And while you're on Facebook, get on down there to the Prophet of Thought Series fan group page. That's the Prophet of Thought Series fan group page on Facebook. Go ahead, request to be a member. You're guaranteed to get up in there quick. Plus, there's other people in there, they up there posting and doing all kinds of stuff. So you ain't just got to listen to old X run his mouth. You got other people down there running their old mouths too. So get on down there and join up with the Proper Thought Series fan group page. It's actually worth a look. Also, check us out on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's Proper Thought. Leave out the series on Instagram. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram. You're guaranteed to get a follow back. And we always end the night like this, right? Get your black behinds down to Twitter. The Twitter handle is at T.P.O.T Media. That's at T.P.O.T Media on Twitter. Go ahead, follow us on Twitter. Because if you don't, I will haunt your old black ass mama in her dreams until Christmas. So, once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank the people in the chat. I want to thank my moderator. Shout out to my brother Black Ram 313 in the house tonight. Get on down there, check out brother Black Ram. That's my dude right there, because it's therapeutic, man. Get on down there, check out brother Black Ram. Extra shout out to freaking Raw Black, of course, and everybody else in the chat room who contributed and donated tonight. I appreciate all of y'all, man. Y'all know I do. Also, I want to give a big thanks to everybody out there. You for checking us out, spending some time with us and watching us tonight. It is always appreciated. some program notes. Tomorrow we are doing a show, but tomorrow we're gonna be talking about this Amber Geiger thing, because y'all know she got convicted. They only sentenced her to 10 years, will probably only turn out to be like 4 or 5 in the long run. But I'm gonna have a different spin on it tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna have some of the usual suspects up here, and I'm gonna make some of y'all mad with how I talk about this tomorrow. But once you sit down and listen to it, you're gonna be like, hey, X may just have a point. So make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow. Go ahead, hit the damn reminder so you can make sure you hear 9:30 p.m. tomorrow, okay, on the T.P.O.T YouTube page, home of DXL. We will be talking about why Amber Geiger went down. Yeah, we're going to be talking about why she went down. So make sure you hear tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words, you know, like I always do.
Let us open our mind.
I know leadership don't need love don't mean retaliation. Peace, folks. Champagne, they celebrate at the death of a child of slave. I never said, remember your forefathers' tears, the lives which was lost for us to see peaceful years when shots stop, who remains flat. If they pray, they celebrate. Eat caviar, drink champagne. If they pray, they celebrate. At the death of the child of a slave. Proper thought. Open our mind. If we don't stop, open our mind. Open our mind. The child of a slave. Proper thought. Open our mind. Only from T.P.O.T.